The southeastern region of the United States was once home to a variety of indigenous peoples. The Caddo were one of these many tribes. The study of any human culture would be incomplete without observing their relationship with food. Foodways can offer insight to a person's culture, their environment, and how they interact with other people through trade or cultural diffusion. In this video, we are going to explore and further understand Caddo foodways, as well as recreate dishes based on archaeological and historical evidence and contemporary recipes. Water screening is a process that can reveal small artifacts of stone, seeds, bone, or charred organic material. These items are carefully cleaned and analyzed. These artifacts serve as useful clues for reconstructing ancient and historic foodways. Historic populations of Caddo settled in areas that stretched from present-day Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas, and Oklahoma. The contemporary Caddo Nation has a capital at Binger, Oklahoma, where important cultural traditions are maintained in everyday life. The earliest written records available that mention Caddo food traditions come from accounts taken down in the early 1540s by men who accompanied the expedition of Hernando de Soto in the New World. The most detailed culinary account was left by an unknown Portuguese soldier, referred to by historians as the Gentleman of Elvas. The Elvas narrative listed many natural resources, domesticated crops, and methods of cooking used by the Caddo. Early horticulture during the Woodland period was characterized by a variety of previously wild plants that had been domesticated. Early grains such as chenopodium, goosefoot, sumpweed, and little barley provided excellent sources of protein. Squash, sunflower, gourds, and maypop were also valuable crops. The advent of corn to the Caddo diet revolutionized the way they lived and ate. Eventually, corn dominated the Caddo agricultural industry. Large-scale corn production could support ever larger populaces and support sizable population centers. Corn could be made into a wide variety of dishes such as roasted corn, hominy, corn flour, breads, popcorn, or thick corn porridge. Corn was such an integral part of the diet that many modern people of native ancestry lack the genetic adaptation required to successfully process wheat gluten, whereas modern people of Western European ancestry often report less frequency of gluten sensitivity. Women are represented as a vital part of the Caddo creation myth. and their important connection to food is evident in the narrative. In the story, a man and woman emerged from the ground known as Middle World. The man carried a pipe, drum, and fire. The woman brought corn and pumpkin seeds, which could be planted to yield two extremely important crops to the Caddo diet. Caddo women were responsible for agriculture, food storage, and food preparation. This work, however, was not considered to be drudgery. The Caddo practiced a system known as gender complementarianism, in which no gender was above or below the other. Each gender was considered different but equally vital to society. Excellent sources of protein and lipids could be readily found in the forest. Nut trees produced highly caloric black walnuts, hickory nuts, and pecans. Animals were a valuable source of fur and meat. The 7 brothers were typical fare: deer, elk, buffalo, turkey, squirrel, rabbit, and bear. Bear oil was especially valuable as a seasoning in many Caddo dishes. Fruit and berries, such as persimmons and blackberries, seasonally complemented the Caddo diet. Rivers teemed with an abundance of fish such as catfish, buffalo fish, and paddlefish. These are 2 examples of wild foraged hickory nuts, one without its casing and one with its husk remaining. After you have removed the husk, which looks a little something like this, you may discard it. This leaves the remaining nut still encased in a tough shell. A hammerstone would have been used in conjunction with a mortar to crack the nut open and reveal the nutrient-rich meat inside. For the sweet corn tamales, you're going to want to begin by soaking dried corn husk in warm water. Take fresh ears of corn. They look a little something like this. You're going to take this corn and remove the husk and the corn silk. Make sure you get all the little pieces of corn silk off of there. You're going to take your knife and run it vertically down the ear of corn, separating the kernels from the cob like so. Sometimes the process can be a little messy, but sometimes cooking is just that way. You're going to assemble the rest of your ingredients. Take your masa harina, your corn flour, put that into a bowl. Then you're going to take your salted hot water and add to the flour. Stir to combine, making sure that all parts of the flour are moistened. It's going to come together into a nice thick dough. Take one of your corn husks from the water, nice and malleable now, and spread your dough onto the husk. Take your sweet corn kernels from earlier and put them right in the middle of the dough, and then top it off with a little more. Once that's done, roll your husk nice and tight to ensure that none of the filling slips out during the cooking process. Set that to the side and either boil or bake this tamale. Once you have assembled your ingredients, you can add them all to a medium-sized saucepan. You're going to take your hominy, just add that in there, and remember the nuts from earlier? You're going to add those to the pan as well. Stir to combine with salted water. Once everything is mixed together, just heat it up on the stove on medium heat for about 10 minutes, and you have a protein-rich side dish. The cut that I've selected for this particular demonstration is a nice piece of bison meat, which we're going to cut against the grain of the meat here. Just like that. Then you're going to take that meat and squeeze the blood out over the pot. This is very important because it makes its own gravy. Just continue along, slicing against that grain. Repeat the squeezing step over your cooking pot. Once you've done that, you're going to have something that looks a little like this. Caddo in the historic period dissolved their salt in hot water before adding to the food. So in the nature of being traditional, we're going to repeat that step here. Just add a little bit of hot water to some sea salt and stir to combine. Once your salt is dissolved, pour it over your meat slices. Just like that. There we go. Then we're going to put a lid on that and cook on low for about 4 hours. So, after all of your learning and hard work, you'll be rewarded with a delicious dinner consisting of sweet corn tamales, hominy and hickory stew, and habushko made with fresh bison meat. No matter the time period or corner of the world, food is inexplicably linked to culture. By studying this phenomenon, human beings can better understand one another and enjoy delicious foods along the way.